everyone. So today we're doing some environmental value sketching. This is week 1, so we'll continue some more of these next week. So for today, I'm painting this landscape from a reference photo I found online. So because it's value sketching, I won't be using any colors, obviously. So right here, I'm trying to just depict the scenery using just the basic values. So based on my in-depth research online, which is just me watching a bunch of YouTube videos, I found out that it's easier to start painting landscapes first by establishing shapes, basic shapes. So as you go along, then you can add detail. It's important to make sure that your composition and your perspective is done right, which is what I'm trying to do here. As you can see, I did draw some perspective lines beforehand based off my reference photo. That was easier for me to do because I had the photo. So if it were an imaginative piece or something that you just came up on your own, then you have to figure out the perspective, all on your own. Anyway, moving along. So about the values of this piece, which is the main focus today. So the rule of thumb is that you'll have darker values in your foreground and mid-tone values in your midground and light values in your background. But as you can see, I didn't do that for this piece. That's because using my reference photo, that setup was just not there. Even though the general rule is to use darker values at the foreground, it isn't always the case depending on the picture that you're trying to depict. So the best way to know the values in a particular photo that you're going to use as a reference is just by squinting your eyes to look at it. Yeah, so if you squint your eyes or you zoom out, you zoom out. The point is, make the picture really small so you can just see the basic values of that photo, disregarding the colors or any major details, just to see the basic shapes and the basic values so you can get an understanding of where is darker, where is lighter in that piece. So once you establish your proper composition and your perspective is correct and you put your values in the right place, then the fun part comes. You can start adding your details, which I've started at this moment. Yeah, but I kind of didn't like where it was going. It was a bit too dark and I just didn't do it right. So I started over with something that's less contrasting, something that matches that the midground a little bit more and blends in well to add a little bit more detail, a little bit more texture to my hills right there. They're supposed to be hills. They don't look like hills now, but they will soon. Anyway, remember, I just want to point out that while you're painting, it's okay to just make mistakes and start over. And because you start with basic shapes, because you start with just simple values, it's easier to make corrections. You don't have a lot of big mistakes. You'd have smaller mistakes because you didn't do as much as you would have if you just went in with a lot of details. Right now I'm just working on one layer, so correcting stuff is pretty easy for me. It's really easy. I really think working on one layer for these sketches is a good thing to do. It's a good practice because when you do digital art and you use a lot of layers all the time, you lose that fundamental, you use that novelty that you get with traditional art sometimes. So I think doing one layer is great. It feels pretty good sometimes, so try it. So now I'm just finishing up the mountains. That was the best part of the piece for me. I really like doing those mountains. The mountains in the background mountains were pretty nice to do. Yeah, so I tried to ensure that the highlights I used weren't too contrasting. because you still need to bear in mind the values that you use for each section of the piece. So you can't have shading in the background that's really dark, because you know that your foreground should be the darkest part of the piece. You should have something that's dark enough to highlight a dark area in the foreground, but that's not too contrasting, so you can keep the general tone of that area. So just bear that in mind when you're adding in your details. That's why you start with your basic values first. I just want to thank all the guys I watched on YouTube. I really don't remember their names, but they really helped me in this video. They really helped me to learn a lot. So I hope you enjoy this video, and stay tuned for more coming up next week. Thanks guys for watching. Bye.